So, whenever you're asked to review a paper, one of the first things that journals want to know is what's original, right? What's the original contribution? So Jennifer and Peter, if you could tell us, what do you think is the most important original contribution of this forum?
That is the key critical question that all editors need to ask. What is the original contribution? It does contribute a new term to the field of global environmental politics, what we call biojustice environmentalism, or what you can also think about as the biojustice movement. And this comes out of the book Paths to a Green World that Jennifer and I wrote a few years back now. And in that book, we talked about 4 categories to try and understand all the diversity of perspectives in global environmental politics. And over the years, teaching this typology and thinking through the book, we've come to the conclusion that the bioenvironmentalist perspective and the social justice perspective increasingly has come together. And so we see this biojustice environmentalism as a new kind of movement that is uniting the bioenvironmentalist and social justice ideas and giving more power to this grassroots movement. And so what we see happening here is a group of activists, not always in the more formal sense of non-governmental organizations, but often at the grassroots level, community groups, what many people call environmentalism of the poor, coming together and saying we need 2 core principles here to emphasize: the respect for ecological limits and the necessity of preserving biological integrity. At the same time, the critical importance of confronting environmental injustice and seeking community justice. And that kind of is uniting groups to kind of fight back against market liberal environmentalism. So it's a very hopeful article. We're hoping that, well, academics and especially students will take a lot of optimism from this argument that we're seeing a very powerful resistance from below.
Great, thanks, Peter. Jennifer, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, sure. And thank you for the opportunity, as Peter had already noted, to participate in this wonderful online forum. And thank you, Peter, for your comprehensive answer to the first question. But I would add a few things. And definitely, as Peter said, we were what's new in this paper is in a way an update or a modification of some of our earlier ideas from Paths to a Green World. And we came to this after thinking about whether those worldviews that we mapped out back first in 2005 and updated in 2011, whether they still held today. And we wrote that work originally responding to that moment, and we would say that this is now a different moment. And so what I think is really unique about this perspective or this movement that we're talking about is that it's really making the case that ecological integrity requires social justice at the same time that social justice requires ecological integrity. They are interlinked, and the biojustice movement is making that case, but doing it in a way that is, in a sense, grassroots at multiple scales. And that's a second big contribution of the article, I would say, is to point to the growing polycentricity of environmental politics today, especially around this idea of transitions, that transitions cannot be orchestrated from above. They're not going to happen through global environmental agreements that, we've spent a lot of time in the field talking about global environmental agreements and other kinds of initiatives. But what this biojustice movement is saying, we need to take matters into, specific contexts and push for transformations within those contexts. But I would say, and I agree with Peter, we want to convey, some hope, especially when we are talking in global environmental politics. It's often depressing, for sure, because things are bad and they're often getting worse. And this is a hopeful sign to move towards, this sort of exciting, polycentric kind of response, but at the same time, more contentious politics when it comes to, seeing states and others trying to co-opt this movement. So it's interesting times for sure.